welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be another eyeshadow palette review. So I am going to be talking about the Gloss Gods Smoke and Mirror palette. This is my first time talking about trying anything from Gloss Gods. I saw them release this palette on Black Friday and I was instantly hooked. Smoke and Mirrors, clearly like a cool tone, smoky palette here that I just cannot resist. Love everything about this. It somewhat gives me Colourpop, the Troublemaker palette vibes. That was the first palette I thought of. I don't have that palette, but that is what I thought of when I saw this palette. So they released this for Black Friday. I grabbed it along with the Vintage Glam palette and then the new Neutrals. These were kind of on my list to get already. And then I saw them release this palette and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get all three. The other two were on sale for Black Friday. This one was not. So I'm going to be talking about the details of this palette, going over swatches, as well as doing 3 eye looks, you know the drill, and then going over my final thoughts. So if you like eyeshadow review videos, if you're interested in seeing my thoughts on this palette, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't yet. And with that, let's get started talking about the details of this palette and swatches. As I mentioned, Gloss Gods is an indie company. I believe they're based out of Sweden. So that is ultimately part of why I wanted to try this brand out, just try out some new European indie companies. I was considering, if you saw my Black Friday sale video, I'll link that video above. I was considering getting the Clarity Cosmetics Croc palette because they're also an indie company that I have not tried, but they're based in America. I was gonna have to pay taxes on it. So ultimately I decided to go with Gloss Gods and I'm very excited. It seems like they have very nice color stories, as well as kind of having some just unique shades, those shades that indie companies are kind of known for being a little bit more special. But I'm gonna scoot over and we're gonna insert in a swatch here. So the first shade, I'm gonna go top to bottom, left to right. The first shade that we have is Pebble, followed by Mirror Mirror, Set in Stone, Looking Glass, Stepping Stone, Reflection, Concrete Rose, Rock Solid, Smoke Show, Up in Smoke, Molten Metal, and Smoky. This palette does retail for $38 US. That's gonna fluctuate because it is in Swedish crowns, but as of December 6th, it's $38.50, I think, US. So that's everything about this palette. I don't know too much about the company other than that. And now I'm excited to get started playing with this palette. I'm gonna pull you in closer and we're gonna start look number 1. All right. Usually my first 2 looks are a little bit more out of my comfort zone, and then my third look that I'll wear for the rest of the video is a little bit more in my wheelhouse. So I just try and push myself. I really kind of want to use like this silver with this black, as well as this rock solid shade. This looks really pretty. So I think for the first look, we'll do like this shade with this on the lid, deepen it up here. And then the second look, I'm gonna go in more with these 3 shades. Third look, we'll kind of stick more to these pinky tones. So I am gonna just start with a fluffy blending brush with Set in Stone. Gonna go in and just apply this to the crease and a little bit all over the lid and just kind of lay this down. I really need to clean my brushes. I'll probably do that today, but usually I just use my color switch, so it doesn't have any product on it, even though it probably looks like it's dirty. The shade is perfect transitional crease shade. That's cool toned. So I'm liking that. And I don't do anything. If this is your first time watching a video, I am not an advanced eyeshadow person. I just use this how I would use it in every day because that's realistic for me. So now I'm gonna go in with that smoky shade. We're gonna deepen up the outer corner. That is more pigmented than I was expecting. It's okay, just gonna blend this out. That was one dip into the palette, so it definitely is pigmented. I'm gonna just do the bottom lash line here with Set in Stone, as well as Smoky, just while I'm kind of using those shades. I'm liking this so far. It's dark, it's sultry, but it's not too much. I wouldn't feel comfortable like not wearing this during the day, but we're gonna go in with Rock Solid now, which is kind of more of like a brownie cool tone. And hopefully we don't get fallout because I already did my base. I'm just gonna apply this all over the lid. That is really impactful, really pretty. I like this shade a lot. This might be my favorite glitter shade out of them all. Yeah, really, really like this. Now I just want to see which one I should put in the inner corner here, Mirror, Mirror, or Looking Glass. This is Looking Glass, so it's very multi-chrome. I don't know, is it a duochrome or multi-chrome? One of those. And then here is Mirror, Mirror. So I think maybe just for shits and giggles, we'll put Looking Glass kind of in the center. I don't think it's going to change the color. I think it's just going to add a little bit of like iridescence. And then we'll do, ooh, wow, that's impressive. It like, you can't see the difference in the color of Rock Solid, but it definitely just kind of added like a multi-dimensional look. That is really pretty. And then I'm going to take Mirror, Mirror and put that in the inner corner. Just very little because it seems like this is a bright shade. Kind of sweep this up in here. I don't know if I love that. I'm not really good with inner corner because I kind of have like this fold. I don't know if you can tell, not this way because the way I'm angled, but like I have like a very prominent fold. And sometimes it makes it difficult for me to do the inner corner. But we'll leave it at that. I think that looks really pretty. I used, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shades, more than I normally use. I do really like it though. It's very pretty. I'm like envisioning this on like a girls' night out. I just love that like rocky, grungy look. And that's what this is giving me. We're gonna see look number 2. Like I said, we're gonna go in more with like the smoky tones, this dark black here, this silver, and this color, but this is definitely more my vibe. I have a feeling this silver won't be as much. It'll just be too stark. But let's get started with look number 2. I'm gonna start in with Smoke Show, and I'm gonna start to just put this in the crease, not too high, and deepen up that outer corner a little bit, just on like the outer half of my lid. This is with a rougher 14, so it's a little bit smaller than my normal crease brush. And then I'm gonna go in with my bigger one, the rougher 15, into Pebble and use that to blend out this Smoke Show shade. And then that will kind of gradient and bring it up higher for my crease transitional blending out shade. I'm also gonna do the same thing to the bottom lash line. So take Smoke Show and then blend it out with Pebble on the bottom lash line. Do that. Then I kind of need like a bigger brush for Pebble. Now that I've done the lower lash line, I'm just gonna use my finger and I'm gonna go in between the silver and the black. So Molten Metal, which is bright, and then Up in Smoke. And I'm gonna kind of just have both of these ready on my finger and just go back and forth on using Up in Smoke in the outer half and then Molten Metal kind of in the inner half. Wow, that is silver. Ooh, okay. Probably gonna just try and gradient this just a little bit because I don't want Molten Metal taking over. Definitely do not deal with blacks that often, if ever. I'm making a huge mess on my fingers here, but I mean, the good thing I can say is there's been like no fallout with either of these shades, any of the shades I've used so far, which is pretty crazy to me. All right. I feel like that's kind of a gradient. I don't really, God, I don't know how my thumb got so dirty. Okay, okay. I'm kind of liking that. Again, this is like more my vibe, but if you want a silver smoky eye, this palette will give it to you. So I am going to wash my hands and apply a liner and mascara, and I will be back to show you the final looks for both of these. Here we have it, look 1 and look 2. Just put my glasses on. I think my mascara is on its last leg. It's been giving me some trouble. I do have everything that I'm always wearing listed in the description box below, but these are fun. They're different. I can't say it's something I'd wear on the everyday, but I do like both of them. Opinion stays the same. Like, this is just definitely more what I go for, but this is not bad. I did add Mirror into the inner corner, just like I did on this eye. So I did also do that off camera, but now I am going to take this off. It's always my favorite when I do like dark smoky looks to take this off, and I'm going to start look number 3. I'm not sure how well I got all of this makeup off. It was quite the journey, but I did my best, and we're just gonna start with look number 3 here. So I definitely wanna go in with more of like these purpley tones, gray purple, and I think I'm still gonna start with Set in Stone, this one here, just for transition shade. And let me just lay that down just a little bit real quickly. So apply it a little bit all over the lid. Now I'm going to take smaller blending brush, go in with Stepping Stone. I did try to clean my brushes just as best as I could since I was using those dark smoky tones. Really not trying to have there be too much pigment on here. I will have to wash my brushes today, but I considered getting more brushes just so I wouldn't have to clean them as much, and then I told myself to stop being lazy and clean my brushes more. So I do not want to be one of those people that I always see videos where they say they have 200 brushes and need to wash them. The problem just builds and builds. I'd rather just have, like, I really only use 4 brushes for eyeshadow. That I have more, but those are kind of like my main ones. And there's just no reason why I should buy a second set of brushes that are the exact same. I'm just gonna keep blending this up a little bit. I don't know if I need to go into Concrete Rose. You know what I think? So Concrete Rose is more of like a rose matte, and then there's like this shimmery reflection shade. I was going to put that all over the lid, but I think instead I'm going to put Concrete Rose all over the lid and then put that Looking Glass on top of it, because that shade impressed me a lot. It was so beautiful. Definitely, it's not coming off as purpley as I want, and that's probably me. It's probably because my brushes weren't clean enough. So now I'm just gonna take that with my finger, run it all over the lid. I mean, in person, it's coming across a little bit more purple than I think on camera it's just picking up a lot of the gray, at least what I'm seeing. Sometimes when I go back and watch footage, what I'm saying makes absolutely no sense. I really thought I was gonna love this, but I don't know if I am. I feel like it's just a little bit too deep. And maybe I need to wash my brushes. Maybe that's what's throwing this off. The number 15 shouldn't have like dark shades on it, so I'm gonna go in with Pebble Blend Up. It's not bad, something that I'm not loving. And I think that's because the last purple palette I used was the Myth palette, and that palette I loved more than anything in the world. I'm a really big fan of that palette. I'm gonna go back in with the shade. Okay, I'm gonna stop trying to mess with this because I don't think it's the palette, I think it's me. And I'm just gonna go in with Looking Glass, and we're gonna see if that just completely changes everything about this look. And it does, because that is so gorgeous. I don't have like a lot of indie shades. I do have singles from Sydney Grace as well as Give Me Glow, but haven't used those as much. And Sydney Grace, I wouldn't say has like those really crazy multi-dimensional shades like this. Give Me Glow, they do, but I don't think I have as many of those shades as I do just like workhorse shades that are more mattes and shades you'd use for a lot of looks. That instantly turned this around, 180, completely changed it. I think this is so pretty now, wow. Okay, I think just to finish this up, I cannot stop looking at it. It is so pretty. It is, I don't know if it's doing it justice in camera, but the shift just makes it so special. I'm gonna go into Stepping Stone, lightly run this on the bottom lash line. And then take Set in Stone and blend it out with that shade. I still kind of had remnants from my black eyeliner kind of just sitting in there, and that kind of went in with that lower lash line shade, but I'm not mad at it. So I'm gonna just clean up the corner here. I can see that I kind of went outside the lines a little bit. Do my second eye, apply some mascara, then I'll be back to show you the third and final look completely finished. And here we are, look number 3. I love this so much. I think I've made that clear, but now I'm gonna scoot you back and we're just gonna recap my thoughts on this palette. I am absolutely in love with this palette. I'm so glad that I ended up picking it up. I do kind of want to just talk about the formula first. The mattes blend beautifully. I didn't have any fallout except in this Looking Glass shade, which this shade is just so beautiful and special that I'm willing to overlook it. But if you are gonna be using this palette, I probably would take like a cotton round and put it under my eye or just something to catch the shadow if I already had my base done. But other than that, all the other shades I didn't have any fallout with, and I think that I used all of them except for Reflection here. So I did use basically all the shades, and I'm just so happy with this. I'm very excited to play with the other 2 palettes that I have. I will probably be doing individual reviews on those as well. I think this is just absolutely worth it though. $38 is, I wouldn't say it's inexpensive, but I wouldn't say it's expensive. Quite honestly, like if I had to put this palette up against Pat McGrath right now, just based on first impressions, I like this palette a little bit more. I find the mattes a little bit easier to blend. I find them more manageable. And this special shade, while there's only one in here, I love it. It's so pretty. Comparing it just to Pat McGrath's like Blitz Astral shades, this has less fallout. So that's why I kind of just wanted to compare it to a Pat McGrath palette. If you're used to that formula, I find this so much easier to work with. So when you think about like a $125 palette versus a $38 palette, this doesn't seem as expensive as that. And I would absolutely look into the other palettes on their website to see if there's a color story that you really gravitate towards. If you're wanting just those staple mattes with something special, these are the kind of palettes that I love. If you've seen any of my other videos, a lot of the gripe that I have with some palettes is that it's not an all-encompassing palette. And that's going to differ from person to person, but it's not all-encompassing to me. I want more staple colors in palettes, and then I want like, maximum, this is a 12-pan palette, like maximum 3 special shades. This has exactly what I want in a palette. I can reach for this, know I can get a day look, a night look, any kind of look that I want, and I don't have to reach into another palette to do it. And if I want something just to bump up just that extra 10%, something special, I have that in this palette too. So that's why it's just kind of like a perfect palette for me. If you're someone who also likes that, if you like convenience, not reaching into other palettes, or, if you wanted like that extra multi-chrome kind of look, then you don't have to go reach for a single shadow. This palette is great. Very excited to try the Vintage Glam and the new Neutral, I think it's called. And I might even look at some of their other palettes now because I was really only interested in the 3, but after trying this formula, like I'm kind of hooked. I don't think I have anything like this in my collection. Yes, I have like smoky palettes, cool tone palettes, but nothing like this. The only shade that I'm not just 100% in love with is this Stepping Stone. It's just not as vibrant as I wanted. Like I used in the third look, I used this in the crease, then I kind of used this to deepen it up, and it wasn't giving me the depth I want. It is surprisingly lighter on the lid than it is in the pan. So that's really the only shade I'm not 100% in love with, but it has its place. I'm not hating the formula or anything, just kind of, I think, the tone of it a little bit. I would have liked something just a little bit more vibrant, would have brought this out more. I almost kind of thought about going in with this smoky shade off camera to really deepen up the crease, but I decided to leave it as is. Overall, if you haven't tried Gloss Gods, I would not sleep on them. I would absolutely look them up, pick up a palette or two, and I think that you'll be really happy with it. But I think that's where I'm going to leave you all. It's going to be just a quick, short video, maybe. I always say that, and then after editing, it's not short, but I try my best. I hope you all are having a wonderful day, a great December, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye, everyone.